hope everybody's having an amazing day today. In this subject, I'm going to be discussing something that I think is very, very important, especially in today's age, in today's time. Yet this has always been there since, gosh, go back to our paleo ancestors. And before I get into that and discuss this and some of the people behind it, one person I do want to bring up is Stanley Milgram. So Stanley Milgram did experiments back in the 60s based on obedience to authority. I'm not going to get into the details of that, and many of you may have heard about it already, but I will discuss it in a later video. Today I'm going to be discussing the person who actually was his mentor, a gentleman named Solomon Asch. And Solomon Asch, he was a mentor and also helped Stanley Milgram with his dissertation on conformity. So Solomon Asch, he was a Gestalt psychologist and professor, and he was also a social psychologist. And starting in the 1950s, he did experiments on conformity. And one of his most famous experiments, where he invited people in to show the associations that others will have an influence on us, those closest to us especially. So what he did, he brought in a group of people, and I believe it was like 5 people, and the experiment had to do with lines. So there was a standard line and then 3 other lines, and they were of varying lengths. Now, one of the other 3 lines was the same length as that first line. So you had 1, 2, 3. And the people had to pick which one was the same length. Now, in the study, much like what Stanley Milgram did with his obedience to authority, what Solomon did is that every person except for the subject was to pick the wrong answer. Now, to set it up, initially they started picking the right answer that matched up for about the first 2 or 3. Then afterwards, all the other lines were the wrong answer. And what he wanted to find out, would the person pick the right answer or go along with the group to pick the wrong answer? And it turned out that quite a few people picked the wrong answer because they did not want to be left out. They wanted to feel like they were part of the group, even though it challenged their beliefs and their reality of what they saw. They still went along with the group. And why is this important, especially today? Now, we may think that because of the internet, because of people getting more information and so much more, the people would be less apt to conform. That's not true. We see this in politics, we see this in cultures, we see this in religions, we see this in businesses, and so forth. People tend to conform. Yes, you're going to have the one person who's a black sheep, yet it's still difficult. It's still difficult to not give a fuck, to not care what other people think. In the back of our minds, because going back to paleo ancestor days, to survive, we needed to work as a group. We needed to think as a group to be able to defeat, that saber-toothed tiger that's jumping out to rip us apart. We needed to work as a group to find food sources. We needed to work as a group for overall survival. Today, we still have that brain. Our brain has not changed in the last 100, 200,000 years. So we still have an operating system that is outdated. We still use it though. We still care what other people think. We see this in social media quite a bit. People, when they put something out, they're not getting likes. Solomon's experiment, where these people, the subject went along with the group and picked the wrong answer. And that can be you. That could be me. We've all conformed in one way or another at least one time in our life, unless you're the black sheep, where you don't conform. You're a nonconformist. Still, for the most part, even a lot of nonconformists tend to find their tribe and they go along with what the tribe says. So I want you to look into your own tribe. Who do you associate with? What do you conform to? Even if it goes against your ethical standards, do you still conform? And be honest with yourself. And when I say be honest, when you're in a group setting, what do? Do you not say anything when something unethical comes up, especially like if you're in a business setting and you see the business overall is not doing something ethical? What do? If you're a leader in that business, organization, or wherever you're at, do you follow along with what the other leaders are saying, especially senior management? Or do you challenge? Most people will tend to go along with the status quo. And I can say it sitting back here because I tend to do my own thing. I don't like to conform either. If you're in politics, do you conform with the group, what other people are saying? Or do you have some ethical thing going way back? And again, look at the way you behave within a group setting, not away from it, in it. Look how you behave. That's really important. Look how you act or respond or not respond or react when you see people on social media and they make a comment about how you look, about what you say, about what you post, and so forth. So again, we have an operating system that's out of date, and I want you guys to challenge yourselves as I'm challenging you and myself too, to look at the reality. And that's one of the reasons successful people tend to associate with more successful, higher levels of people than themselves. The 5 people you associate with the most, you're the sum average of that. And again, that's a form of conformity, because we conform to those standards of behavior. So think about it. Think about this whole video and challenge yourself, challenge your behaviors, and see if you can get out there and really don't care what those around you think or say or whatever. Just don't really care. Because when you can do that, you can become the most creative version of yourself. You can start to create without caring, putting stuff out there. And I'm challenging you to do that too. And me, again, always. So you guys have an amazing week, an amazing life ahead. And I look forward to putting out more content. I'm going to start doing this on a regular basis. And just putting stuff out there, just having fun with it. So you guys rock.